Publicis is a technology and consulting organization, and currently it is the way we think of ourselves as a company that solves business problems. So it doesn't matter the technology is changes over time, but basically it's about business solutions for clients. So I would say that's the background. That's how we started. That's kind of how we continue as well. My journey, I started in recruitment at Sapient that 25 years ago. I've obviously made a lot of career moves through the company, which is also the reason I stay. And today I'm playing the Chief People Officer. It's a global role. So it's basically for all of Publicis Sapient, I play the role from India.
Right. Publicis Sapient operates in a space where technology, customer expectations, and business models are constantly evolving. How do you ensure your workforce evolves as quickly as the market around it?
There is no magic formula to that, if I may say that. I think the journey for us has been it has been a journey of continuous learning, I would say. What is foundational to us is our purpose and values. If you think of our purpose, it's about to help people thrive in the brave pursuit of next. That statement did not need to change, whatever may be the scenario right now. The second thing is, our values. Values have endured over time. Now, if you think about how we help our people evolve in this landscape, is because, we have, for example, we have one of them, which is a learning mindset as a value. Now, if you think of learning and ongoing learning, this is the biggest thing that everyone's now talking about in this age of AI. Is that, you have to be adaptable, you have to be able to kind of learn, unlearn, relearn, all those like fancy words. But we've had this as an ongoing thing. And it is something that, we have over-indexed on, I would say, at this point, because we needed to. But essentially, that's kind of how we've evolved, we continue to evolve from a people standpoint. Because our belief is more that our people will learn from within. The workforce of the future is actually being built from within. It's not someone that we are hiring from outside. Hiring numbers have not kind of gone up dramatically or gone down, but they kind of remain the same. So the objective here is, how do you create that workforce that is oriented around learning, is being adaptable. I think you have to teach them a few new things now, about how to make decisions, how to employ judgment, how to be more experimental, how to take this on this journey. I think we have to teach those things more, so it's more mindset oriented than anything else, I would say, at this point.
Many organizations are moving towards skill-based hiring, but in consulting and digital transformation businesses, potential and adaptability often matter as much as current skills. How do you evaluate talent in that context?
How you structure learning, right? And I think that's a shift we've made recently. When I say recently, it's like a year and a half ago. Our orientation earlier in the past was highly indexed on skills and leadership. What we've now added, I would say, we now talk about learning in the context of mindsets, skill sets, and tool sets. So mindset is about the shift you need to make in this AI environment. You need to be faster, you need to kind of have the experimentation. I spoke about all of that. The skill sets is about what you bring to bear, right? It's your, there are some fundamental things that you need, your craft skills, like, do you know how to code? Do you know how to code in Java? Do you know how to code in, all of those like skills you need. You cannot do without that. And then you need the domain skills as well. So there's that. So those two are the skill set element. And tool sets has now become a big deal. Do you know, all the ones in the market, do you know Claude? Do you know Gemini? Do you know ChatGPT? And then we have our own tools because, it's an important thing, like Bodhi and Slingshot and things like that, which help our people. So the three elements together are now creating that ecosystem of learning, if you will, from a people standpoint.
Today's workforce expects flexibility, purpose, and continuous growth, while senior employees expect speed, expertise, and outcomes. How do you balance this as a CHRO?
See, I know we talk a lot about generational workforce now, okay, but I've been now like 25 years, I don't know what you would call the generation, but generations have always existed in a workplace. And one generation is different from the other. What you say is true, that now the expectation is more oriented around purpose. It's about giving back, to society. It's oriented around, okay, what good am I doing in the world, that kind of thing. However, the generation also, I would say, wants results fast, right? They are like, I've tried to do this now, I'm expecting something in return. So it's also that kind of generation. So creating that balance for them, I think, is more the focus than saying, okay, you know what, there are two or multiple generations. I think how you approach everything, what we've done is we actually haven't said one size fits all. So there's always been like cohort based learning, which could be, there could be, and you've probably heard this could be something that women need to learn. Oh, this probably that this generation needs to learn. Oh, that generation now, needs to figure out how to manage this younger generation. So that gets incorporated into the learning journey for people as they go through the, their own journeys. I think what definitely needs to change, I think, is our leadership layer in terms of what they can expect and how much they can expect and how fast they can expect. Because now I think our younger generation is quite happy to say, oh, I'm not going to really work 24/7 to give you whatever you need, right? I need to wrap up my day now and I'm going home. But I will give you this and this much in that much time. So I think there is a lot of clarity that the senior generation or the leadership generation needs to have in terms of how you manage that. And I think that's a shift. Again, it's a mindset shift, it's something that we teach people on a regular basis. Again, I wouldn't say it's new. I think it's generation, I think you just start to introduce new elements as you go along. So programs will change or the content will change, but teaching people across generation has always been the case. I mean, we said this when the millennials came in. Now we're talking about the next, so we've been talking about generation from a long time. So I think it's an ongoing thing.
Sapient brings together consultants, technologists, designers, and data specialists, often working across geographies and functions. What does it take to build a common culture across such diverse talent groups?
I don't think culture gets built in a day, right? At Sapient, we've had our purpose and values for a long time. That is what we anchor everything on and everything around. So the purpose drives the North Star. I actually quoted the purpose earlier. It's about helping people thrive. It continues to be about helping people, whether it's our clients, it's our people, it's whoever the people are, whether it's society. It's about thriving, which is about how do you actually create outstanding outcomes for clients or for yourself. It's about being brave, which tells you how you can go about doing things. So that purpose is the North Star, which tells you, okay, this is what you're working towards. The values are the way in which you behave with each other and with our clients. So if you put these two together, they form the foundation. And any office that you go to at Sapient, whichever country, whichever place you go to, it will be the same. It is the same. So the offices will look like this, similar. What you can see outside, there are open spaces. There are not too many. There are no cubicles as such. These are all war rooms. I mean, I might have one, but usually they're all just war rooms where people go in and have meetings. There will be fishbowl in every office, which means it's a place where people come and do big meetings together. So whether the physical structure of the office or the infrastructure, whether it's the intangible elements that I just described, all of that go to create the culture. And we have been very intentional about it because it's not automatic. I don't believe that you can just say. So the fact that there is an ongoing focus on recognitions, which is based on the values. The fact that there are all kinds of cues and actually rituals that reinforce those things, I think, are what keeps it consistent. All our processes are global. We don't have something local. The laws are local, but the processes are global. So there are many ways in which we ensure that culture is maintained globally and in the same way. About 5-6 years ago, we did 2 changes. We changed the language of some of the values. For example, earlier it was client-focused delivery. Now it is partnering for client impact. It is a subtle shift, but there is a big shift, right? And the language that you use. I think the second thing that we did in the definitions, we added a whole lot of content around inclusion, psychological safety, and well-being. So if you put all of that, that's the shift that we've made as an organization in how we expect the values to change. So like I said, culture is a living thing. You can't just put it there and say done. Now what you're seeing in this office is a reflection of culture. I never told anybody to do this, right? They're just doing it. People, and look at all these like pictures, notes, everything that you can see, I think are all reflection of the culture in some ways, so yeah.
HR as a function is now expected to contribute far beyond talent management. How do you see the CHRO's role evolving in shaping business strategy and organizational growth?
When we talk about understanding of how we achieve business results, and when majority of the business results are achieved through people, then the role of the HR person or the CHRO is tremendously important. And I think that is a balance that we have to learn, because yes, the finance person will have their, agenda, the HR person will have their own agenda, but how do you bring it together? And if there is no understanding, then you cannot bring it together. How do you work with your CEO? There's a lot of conversations that you have with the CEO. So how do you actually understand his perspective when he says, I don't want to do this, but then, you try to work around that and you kind of make that happen anyway for your people, I think is the agenda from a CHRO's lens, at least that I see it. So nobody can afford not to be a business leader in this day and age.
AI is reshaping jobs, workflows, and career paths dramatically across industries. What conversations do leaders need to start having today that they may still be postponing?
If they are postponing, they're too late right now, because we at Sapient, we started this conversation in December of 2024, which is what is changing, what roles are going to change, how the work that we do, how is that going to change, what are the skills that we need to give to our people. This is like way back, almost 18-20 months back. Today we are redefining. I wouldn't say redefining. So there is no reimagining. We are reimagining the roles. So on our team, for example, in the HR team, we have right now transformation specialists, product specialists. We work in pods. We don't work as teams and silos. So if we are not already in the phase of implementing it now, I think we are late, because our business is changing quite rapidly. The person who was called the engineer, that role is going to change. Is that role going, we hear terms like user, builder, architect, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of interesting to think about. So if people are not thinking about roles changing, I think, we are probably very late already. What leaders are postponing is actually actively having the conversations at individual level, saying, hey, if you're not on this journey, then you'll soon be without a job. But if you take AI as an enabler and move forward, I think you will be a multiplier. It's a multiplier effect. So that will be such a big shift even for the person. So I think that's the conversation that at least some leaders are postponing. People are ready. I don't think there's a single person anywhere who is not using some form of AI or not. So, so people are all ready. It's the leaders who are postponing the conversation in the context of work. You got to have individual productivity, because that's the path. If you wanted to get people on the AI journey, you had to kind of give them the tools and say, figure out how you will use it, right? So that's kind of individual productivity. So we saw a lot of gain in individual productivity. However, we quickly shifted and said, how do you improve enterprise productivity? So because it's no use, what will I do with you knowing ChatGPT and writing an email nicer? So like whatever, right? So how do you improve a process? How do you leverage AI in a process that improves overall productivity? So that is enterprise productivity. Then how do you actually translate that to the people? If I think about the HR function, it's like, okay, I had a chatbot before, which was, just answering questions. So my team productivity was up because, they didn't have to answer those questions. However, the person, whoever was talking to the chatbot, still had to go do a few things, to kind of figure out what the answers to his questions were or her questions were. So you shifted that, saying, okay, this is no longer good enough. I'm going to change my process and I'm going to tell the person to now interact with my internal bot, in the same way as they interact with ChatGPT. So how do you improve that person's productivity and experience? So I think it moves from one end to the other. We have not set targets on, we don't have a problem of top down, bottom up. We just have to do it. If the strategy is changed, so that's the top down version of it, because that is what always happens, right? The CEO sets the strategy and then the team kind of takes along. So that's the top down part. The top down was not how much AI you should use.
Noted. In a business where expertise can become outdated quickly, how are you rethinking learning and capability building beyond traditional training programs?
We used to have a training program and used to run it for the year. Right now, our training programs are changing every 6 weeks. So it's the experiment. Oh, okay, let's try this. We are trying this through video, but we need this to be experimental. We need this to be experiential. So let's change it. Oh, this product is going through a release. Earlier, I would have brought everybody into a classroom and taught them, but now I really can't do it. So let me kind of just do blast and tell everybody, go learn this on your own. Oh, but I need them to experience something. So let me build a lab. So I have a lab also. So there's so many ways in which we are constantly evolving the training. I think though there are many of our partners who are still on the certification bandwagon, So we are trying to figure out how we're going to get away from that and say, okay, it's not about the certification, it's about how you actually use it in your work. So that's another shift that we will make, which is, move away from certifications or degrees, if you will, and to, outcomes. So that's the shift. So the point is not, we are not measuring the effort on learning. So I no longer care, for example, we have 3 man hours per person or 3 days per person. I don't care, honestly, how many learning days, how many learning hours. That's not a metric I'm interested in. My interest is now saying how fast is he doing the work, what's the outcome actually he's delivering at work. Very hard to measure, but that's the shift. So it's shifting from effort to outcome. So those are shifts both in how you provide input on learning to the output of learning. How does it actually come into effect. So our learning team's on their toes.
As technology increasingly takes over routine and analytical tasks, what qualities do you believe will define successful leaders over the next decade?
I think context. I think leaders have a lot of context. Leaders have a lot of experience, which is going to be very helpful. I think leaders need to have empathy as a very big quality from a future standpoint. And the ability to make decisions faster. If I kind of look at all the things so for example, what took us, the labor code is changing, correct? In the past, if this labor code changed, we have done it once before. If it came, then my person came to me, they did one meeting, they showed me everything, they did another meeting, then they showed me this, then they did a third meeting, then they showed me everything and said, okay, this is how we're going to change the comm structure, this is what we're going to do. However, this time it was 45 minutes, one meeting, all done. Right? They sent me a 45 page deck. I just said, summarize everything, tell me what are the main points, what should I worry about, what should I not worry about. And that's it, finished in 45 minutes. So that is the scale of the shift. So faster decision making, I think, is really important. I think the second thing, someone told me, we are spending a lot of time in managing our team. So your Gen Z is not just a focused on purpose, but they have all kinds of problems that they don't know how to solve. They have anxiety issues, they have personal issues, they have, just random questions that they don't know how to solve. We had somebody on our team who was crying on Friday for 2 hours on the call and saying, whatever was their problem. They continued crying through the whole weekend, apparently, and then Monday again they were crying on another call with their supervisor. So what do? I think as leaders, you need to have that empathy to be able to help the generation go through that experience curve, so to speak. So I think, those are, in my view, the qualities that I would say are important from a future standpoint.
So this is what you would recommend us to also build over the next few years?
Yeah, I think so. Some things may change. You have to have empathy without forcing the solution. Because people want to think for themselves, right? And that's what it is. So you need to have care, which is another missing thing See, this shows love, care, affection, whatever, everything, right? I think it's in the generation that grew up on digital, the human to human care is probably missing as a link. You need to create connections. You need to have creative. There's so many things, I can't list them down, but there's like a lot of things that are going to be more important than in the past. So in the past, rational and logic might have worked very well. I think in the future, empathy, care, creativity, imagination, all of that will be needed.